Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. So we've really screwed up and this episode is going to get political, but before we get into the talk of the news, lately we need to do 19 more spells and play 15 more minions that cost 5 or more, which leaves us with the secrets deck, I think, so we should just keep on playing there. So, I guess we'll just go in chronological order. Like I said, this is going to get political. I have over 600 videos of Hearthstone. If you want to go see some other video of Hearthstone and not get political, you run a good chance since I don't talk about it too much, although I keep getting forced into talking about it more and more lately. Which, I swear, I don't think that I'm personally trying to go more political. It just seems like everything starts to put it into that factor. And frankly, it's as annoying to me as it is probably to a lot of people. So I wouldn't be upset if you wanted to leave now. But moving forward from that, one of the guys, did I write his name down? I think his name is Colin Mockery. One of the guys who started this YouTube channel called Kind of Funny Games. Now, let me say what I know about Kind of Funny Games to begin with. They did seem to be chummy, at least with the Giant Bomb team. They've been on a couple of bomb casts, and they, I believe, I could be wrong, have worked in the video game industry, or at least some of them have, or something like that, because I don't think they were just the guys. And as I watched like an hour interview with this guy, Colin Mockery, if that's his name, sorry if I'm getting it wrong, I'm not trying to. This is interesting. Give a random beast in your hand, give a random minion in your hand, give a random beast in your hand.
What?
So I should have kept this beast in my hand the whole time. Actually, I need another beast in my hand now. So yeah, I watched the whole thing on there, and apparently he was in charge of IGN for a long time, so IGN and GameSpot / CBS / Giant Bomb, they were all kind of the same now, and they were all slightly different things at different times, I'm sure, but this guy, he made a joke on Women's Day, which frankly, let me just say, I've never even heard of Women's Day before this year. If this was something that actually existed, it has not been something that is apparently an obvious thing that people were supposed to celebrate. I like the idea of Women's Day for my personal uses as far as YouTube, and I bet in the same way that I bet people who sell cosmetics love Women's Day, and the people who sell candy love Valentine's Day, and the people that sell flowers love Valentine's Day. That's my level of interest in Women's Day. It's like, maybe I could use it as an excuse to play a game that focuses around a woman. And there are a few games out there, at least, if not more, that do focus specifically on women. If I play this, it won't work. If I play this, I lose it. So
a demo.
Let's go ahead and end the turn. I saw the Million Women March after President Trump got elected. It was impressive in numbers, confusing in message, because they didn't really have any leaders or any message. It's kind of like the Tea Party, except for even worse than the Tea Party, because at least at the core of it, the Tea Party is is claiming to be about wanting lower taxes. Taxed enough already is the idea there. Which,
Watch,
frankly,
they fell
a
off the truck.
lot of the people that probably marched in the Tea Party weren't really, or shouldn't be paying that much taxes
A
anyways.
demo.
So, if they're saying they don't want to pay any taxes at all, then they should just go straight to either anarchy or libertarianism, if extreme libertarianism. But moving away from that, so he made a joke. I'm not quoting it word for word, but it was basically peace at last. And see, in Kind of Funny Games, the YouTube channel, I don't know if there are even any females that work with him. And as he said it in his own interview, he said he wrote the tweet, showed it to his girlfriend, and said, "Is this funny?" And she laughed and said, "Yes, it's funny." So that's the joke. Just a general, sexist joke that many comedians do all the time, and like all jokes, you do it. Same as we get back to PewDiePie, and he may make a Nazi joke. Does that make him a Nazi? No. Does that make Colin Moriarty, hopefully getting his name right again, a sexist? No. You know what it really doesn't make him, though? It doesn't make him a racist. And that's exactly what happened, is that a article was written claiming that he made a racist joke, which that's not. It's a sexist joke. There's a difference. Like, women are not a race. Doesn't work that way, no, at all. And they simply just did terrible job of fact checking, or just wanted to use clickbait or to attack Colin Moriarty. And frankly, that's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to attack him. They wanted to have people attack him on their behalf, while not doing it themselves. And because of that, that's exactly what happened. And he was harassed into quitting his job from Kind of Funny Games, and which is something that he and his two friends created together, friends who he's been 10 years with. So that's kind of it. Now, let's say a few things here. First of all, Kind of Funny Games is not an accurate name because they're not very funny. I tried to watch them. Their PS I Love You series, where they talk about PlayStation, has no application to me as a PlayStation gamers. Whenever they got on screen and talked to each other, they kind of just rambled on. They didn't really have any metric, and they weren't very funny, and they weren't very good. That being said, that doesn't really matter. I just wanted to throw it out there that name is really, really inaccurate. Colin Moriarty has been, and still is, very interested in more conservative ideas, and he's an outspoken conservative, bordering on libertarian, in my opinion. And because of that, I have to assume that is why he was attacked and not defended. I listened to the Giant Bombcast this week. I listened to the Beastcast, and unless they just muttered it under their breath for a second, nobody on either one of them mentioned the news report or had any kind of defense of him. And so here he is, literally being slandered. Maybe it's liable because it was written in the printed word. I'm no lawyer. But he's literally being accused of making a racist joke when he didn't. It would be not even news if it was correctly. Like, guy makes sexist joke on Women's Day. That's not news. Frankly, it's barely even news if it was Trump himself that made the joke. Or Obama. Like, former president makes sexist joke on Twitter on Women's Day. It's not really news. It's barely worth mentioning. Jokes aren't news. They just aren't, and people shouldn't be writing news stories when people make jokes. There are people out there, plenty of people out there, that really do espouse hateful viewpoints, mean-spirited, inaccurate viewpoints. There are people out there that, here, I'm going to get in trouble because if I mention anybody, there's going to be a backlash, probably. There are people out there that believe the planet is a triangle and there are aliens carved it in the triangle because the aliens are made out of pizza and they love that. Only 2 or 3 people on the planet believe that. So we're on a flat triangle pizza slice, and that's the way the world is. There are people out there that believe that. There are people out there that are blatantly racist. If you're going to write an article about somebody saying something racist, why don't you just write articles on daily reports of what is said in KKK meetings? There's your racists. Unabashed racists. People that know. I remember a time when when the news was going after people that kind of deserved it, when that church, Westboro Baptist Church, was intentionally protesting it in front of soldiers' funerals against homosexuality, which had nothing to do with anything. They were just trying to get the limelight, and they were trying to get in front of the news, and they barely got reported on there. Now, if it's somebody you don't like, call them a sexist, call them a racist. It doesn't matter if it's true. They've got to prove damages, so even if they sue us, it doesn't matter. It's just literally attacks by the dying media, and I hate to use the phrase "the dying media," but that's kind of all it is the old media, the old newsprint, and the video game newsprint and online media is getting destroyed by YouTube, maybe just getting destroyed by PewDiePie and a few other people, not even YouTube in general. And they're running scared, and they're trying to get clickbait, and they're trying to get views, so they're just going to attack anybody they don't like, and they're going to make up stories, just slander people. And it's unethical, it's unfair. And on the other hand, I think Colin Moriarty never really cared about video games. I think he was in the wrong industry. He wants to talk about politics. He wants to talk about his things, and that's what he's going on to do. He pretty much, you could make the argument that he pretty much figured something like this would eventually happen, and it would be his great excuse to quit his job, which I've been there. I have totally been there when where you want to get out of a job, but you just feel trapped, and because you feel trapped, you don't know what to do, and you start sabotaging your own your own career, just in an effort to get out and not feel like a quitter. I mean, there's a lot of stigma in all of that. So yeah, that's Colin Moriarty. Now, and so a lot of a lot of people bandwagon, got on the hype train and the bandwagon train are all almost right on the same track these days. Like, if you want to get on the hype train for a video game, you're also going to get on the bandwagon train, it seems. Or at least it kind of feels like that it's getting to that. Let's see.
Run away.
Darn it. Darn it. So, here's the next story. And I'm going to have to say this story now just is all allegedly. Because I've literally seen no news reports of it besides from one person, Destructoid and BioWare themselves. Allegedly, a former employee of EA Labs, not BioWare, I don't even know if there's really even a connection there, mislabeled themselves because it's in their Twitter bio, unless their Twitter was hacked, and we haven't seen anything like that said. Wow, this guy's got a nice deck. They jokingly, or for some other reason, mislabeled themselves as the lead facial animator of Mass Effect Andromeda. And this person is like a cosplayer or makeup artist. I don't know if they do any kind of animation in the digital realm at all. Maybe they do a little bit, but they're certainly not working with BioWare, and they're certainly not the lead facial animator of Mass Effect. Somebody got a picture of that, so somebody got themselves in trouble by lying, frankly, is the beginning of this. And somebody got a picture of it, it got posted online that this was the person, and what do you expect happened? Again, allegedly, hundreds of people harassed her, and BioWare eventually put out a picture on Twitter, because you can't do longer posts on Twitter. Although if you put a picture on Twitter too, then you have a kind of unsearchable amount of text that could easily disappear. A lot of people harassed her because Mass Effect Andromeda's facial animations are goofy and messed up. Now, frankly, let's just take a step back here. Even if she is the lead facial animator of BioWare, it's not her fault that the game is screwed up, really. There's still several levels of management above a lead facial animator who would have hired her, and if she wasn't qualified to do the job or incapable of doing the job, then that's on the managers for hiring the wrong person.
Run away.
Let's see, every time this one takes damage.
A demo.
I might win here. So this gets reported on Destructoid that she got harassed by her own fault, but she did get harassed, or at least allegedly she did, and there's no reason why you should harass a specific person or harass them at all. The game looks bad. Hopefully you got the news before the game looks bad. If it is so bad and you purchase the game, ask for a refund on Steam and get rid of it. Move on with your day. The best way you can save yourself any frustration here is just not to engage with it. Just let it water off a duck's back. The game looks bad. If you haven't bought it yet, don't buy it if you don't want to deal with it looking bad. The facial animations look bad. There's problems with Mass Effect Andromeda. I do not recommend anybody play or purchase Mass Effect Andromeda. If you've purchased it, ask for a refund. See if you can get it. Don't continue playing it. Don't waste any more energy on it. It's just that simple. Say it with your dollars, which mean a lot more than any harassing words, because you've really just probably buried the heels of anybody at BioWare who wants to, who may have been receptive to fixing those things. Now it's just going to be, oh, the trolls don't like the animations, but there's nothing wrong with the animations. They're fine. It's just a bunch of trolls. It's just a bunch of harassers. It's just a bunch of people.
They fell off a tree.
The fact that this lady is a woman, it lets them say it's a woman hater, because if you say anything bad about a woman, you're a woman hater, you're misogynist, doesn't matter if you're a female yourself, anyways, you just have internalized misogyny. It's so easy to dig in your heels and not get the message. Say it with your money. That is as clear a message as you're ever going to be able to send, is don't buy Mass Effect 3. And maybe don't buy BioWare's next game. Don't pre-order it, at least. Mass Effect has had a history of bad games. So I don't know why people would even be that ravenous about it. Mass Effect 3 wasn't that good. Mass Effect 2 was drastically different than Mass Effect 1. The entire series has been a mess since the word go. But this allowed Destructoid to claim it is misogyny, and thus they reposted an old story of a female BioWare writer who suggested that players should be able to skip combat, which is a good idea. My only real concern with the idea is that, having just recently played Dirt 3, where it's really easy to race games on Dirt 3 on casual, and impossibly difficult to race games on intermediate. And there are some sub-difficulty levels in the middle there that can increase the difficulty while still leaving on driving assist, like corner braking and auto throttling, things that I really need. My fear, if there was a casual mode, that it would potentially drive the gap between some easy modes and some normal modes. We sometimes see that, where easy mode is just a little too easy. In Dirt 3, easy mode is way too easy, and then normal mode is the next step up in difficulty, and it's too hard. And that's not what I'd want to see with casual mode. Ideally, you would also want, you would just want 5 minimum in all game levels of difficulty, going from a casual mode where you can't die or don't have to play the combat at all, depending on the game, to a hardcore mode where one hit kills you. I'd like to see those added to both extremes of the game, and that's a good idea, really, if you can do it. I would say for some games there are a lot of in-game cutscenes, so the idea is the idea of just skipping all combat doesn't make the most amount of sense. You probably would do better to have somebody play a run through it, not a cheating run through or a glitching run through, just a regular run through with no glitches. For instance, The Witcher 3 wouldn't really make the most amount of sense if you just saw all the actual cutscenes. It still wouldn't make that much sense if you saw all the in-engine cutscenes but didn't see any of the gameplay. You kind of need the gameplay to happen. And there are decisions, certainly, that you would either have to have branching effects like you have in Telltale games, or in some other way work around that.
Frog smash!
So yeah, they kind of do in most games need to see it. If it was something like what is that, Injustice, the Mortal Kombat with the DC characters, I could see skipping the fighting there and just going between cutscene and cutscene. There are people that do that on YouTube where they just take all the cutscenes and put them on YouTube with no commentary or things. That's copyright infringement, so they'd be kind of cutting out from that. And I wish YouTube's own system would go, look, you've got no extra audio here. This is just all the cutscenes added together. You've added nothing artistically to this or to the world in general by having this system. So we're not going to allow that to be on our service. Would be a nice response from YouTube for that. Like, anytime a video has all cutscenes or no commentary, or even individual cutscenes and nothing else, there's a problem there. People like me are trying really hard to add commentary and trying to add our opinions to it, and if we can get drowned out by people who are just taking the easy way out and clearly violating copyright with no way of it being argued any other way, it's just not fair. And I would rather see somebody, I'd rather see the video game creator get money for having people play on casual and seeing all the cutscenes. At the very least, what they could do is they could put all the cutscenes themselves on YouTube and then get the ad revenue from that, which might be the easiest way to do it. You wouldn't even have to really do anything special to your game or try to sell the game in itself. Of course, if you watch it on YouTube, then you're not going to get it possibly as good looking as you could.
Watch, they fell off a truck.
But focusing back on the story, that's a good suggestion, but it's an old story. There's really no reason for Destructoid to point to or repost BioWare people getting harassed. It's getting down to the point where everybody's been harassed, so there's nothing there. And frankly, I'm sure there's some guys that have been harassed too, and they just don't complain about it or they don't get reported on. So there's kind of this weird, feels like a double standard to me. Moving on to more politics, it has been such a bad few days for politics. I'm so sorry for this episode, but we're gonna be done here in a second anyways, and then I think I'll just play off screen if I haven't finished everything that needs to happen here.
On with the show. Oh! Frog smash, guys.
YouTube, sadly, predictably, is over-concerned with LGBTQ videos. And frankly, they say it's LGBTQ videos, but one of the videos is actually just a woman video. It's just a woman, and it doesn't say that she's anything special or marginalized or anything like that. It's the number one video was woman interrupted on BBC interview because there was a video that was trending, number one trending man interrupted on BBC interview, which was an actual man on actually BBC getting interviewed, and then his kids ran into the room when the door was supposed to be locked, and then his wife runs in the room and grabs him and kind of violently drags him out. And that should be more of the story, is that instead of just casually picking up the kids and saying, come this way, sweetie, she totally freaks out and makes a mad dash, almost a baseball slide in the into the room and grabs one kid who's in a bouncer carrier and grabs the other one by the arm and kind of drags him out. And I'm like, wow, you're just kind of broadcast nationally that you're yanking around your kids. That can be considered abusive, and wow. And yet no story there, but everybody just thought it was silly, so maybe I'm seeing something that other people aren't. So the joke here, the pro woman slash anti man joke, is then there's this woman who gets interrupted by a kids, and she keeps getting interrupted by more and more things, and at one point, her boyfriend slash husband comes in there and says, "I can't find a sock," and so that clearly anti-man joke where he's not capable of even finding a sock, but the entire joke is to say this one guy can't handle two kids walking in his room while this woman is baking and feeding the baby a bottle and cooking and cleaning and doing multiple things and multitasking. So maybe you can make the argument that the joke isn't that they're not capable, it's just that women can multitask. And so that was the number one thing, but it got labeled as slightly offensive, so it was blocked in restricted mode. So what's restricted mode? Well, restricted mode is a mode that's at the bottom of YouTube where you can turn it on, and it's possible for things like universities and high schools to turn it on, and it blocks things that are offensive, things that are rated adults only, yes, but also other things, I imagine. And their algorithm got it wrong. Their algorithms get everything wrong. YouTube sucks at doing anything, very much. And then they usually never responded to it. But because this was a woman slash LGBTQ thing, apparently that community got upset. And instead of ignoring them and not responding like YouTube does all the time to everybody else, they put out a comment saying, we're sorry, we made it. It's worth pointing out only 1.5% of people use restricted mode. It is a completely unused mode. The kids app probably doesn't show. Is probably in restricted mode, which is probably to say that there's only 1.5% of people using the kids app, YouTube Kids. But it's such a crazy double standard. The woman interrupted on BBC interview is just the female version of what Colin Moriarty made. The piece at last. He made a sexist joke saying women are talk too much. They make a sexist joke that says men are incapable of handling more than one task at a time. Good jokes. They're funny. That's all they are. Yet, one gets a guy bullied into quitting his job. The other gets YouTube to respond when YouTube doesn't even respond in favor. Double standard. It screams a double standard. It really does. And it gets mislabeled. Like, the video I saw was a pro-woman, anti-man joke. Why is it mislabeled as an LGBTQ issue? Why does that community care? Why does anybody care that maybe 1.5% of your traffic is going to be restricted? Who cares? Why does anybody care that a guy tweets a joke on Women's Day? Who cares? There's better reasons not to watch Kinda Funny games. They're Colin Moriarty. They're not funny. They don't have anything interesting to say. Those are good reasons. There's better reasons and better reactions to Mass Effect Andromeda sucking and having terrible graphics. Don't hunt down the person that did the bad graphics. At the end of the day, it's BioWare. BioWare is your victim. Don't buy their stuff if you want to harass them. That's how you harass them, is you don't buy their stuff. They don't care about complaints. They've got their heels dug in. They're going to throw it away. Just don't buy their software. Wait till they go bankrupt. And somebody else buys the Mass Effect series and does a better job. That's really the only thing you can do. And wrapping up here, we'll have to come back tomorrow and do the Tavern Brawls, I suppose. Wrapping up here, though, calm down, people. Really, seriously, everybody needs to calm down. The world doesn't need your frustration added to it. You don't need that frustration added to you. that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Hopefully, I don't have to go political again for a good long time. If you want to support or follow and friend me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.